Thanks everyone for tuning in to this live stream discussion of Stardom Path of Thunder 2025 and a discussion of Stardom's upcoming 2025 Cinderella tournament. In a little over 24 hours time, the fate of three sisters, each fighting for a Stardom championship, will be decided. The battle for Sayaka Kurara will also be decided. And in roughly 2 weeks, Stardom's prestigious annual tournament will begin. It has been said that if you ride like lightning, you're going to crash like thunder. So let's try to find out who will crash. Welcome everyone to the stream. And my guest today is Meerkat Ultra. Meerkat, how is your day going so far?
Going great. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm excited to talk about this event, which has a very unique spin to it. We have three different sisters in different stages of their career, very specific stages of their career, getting to act as the hometown stars in this big event. And there's also a non-title match on the side of all of this that might be more interesting than even all of that, just depending on where you fall with your personal opinion on what's been going on. So there's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of rich sort of connectivity. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, same as well. I think that's really cool that all three sisters get a chance to just highlight themselves. They've been so part of the company for a long time, and it's just it's fun. It's always fun little lore. Like, that doesn't exist anywhere to have three sisters in the same company around the same age. So that's really cool.
Yeah, you almost wouldn't write this in a fictional story this way because it almost seems like too many coincidences. But the way they positioned Hanan, Rina, and Hina, of course, the sisters we're talking about, has just got me so invested and waiting to see how this is going to play out. And the fact that they're in sort of their hometown prefecture, we'll say, makes it even better. So I'm looking forward to this. And I think we could just kind of get started. We're going to talk about Path of Thunder. We're going to focus on the title matches and the stipulation tag match that comes along with this. And we'll kind of go over what makes each of these things so important, what we're trying to kind of spot or predict or, keep our eyes on. And then we can talk about the Cinderella tournament, which will be coming up. We may not even be able to catch our breath after Path of Thunder because we'll have to get ready for that pretty quickly. So first things first, let's just go ahead and try to explain for everybody, what is this show? What's going on with this show? And what do you need to know about it? So Path of Thunder is taking place on February 24th. However, the important sort of distinction to know is that this is February 24th in Japan's calendar. So it's actually going to be taking place tomorrow night. This is the upcoming Stardom pay-per-view featuring 3 title matches and that stipulation tag match that will continue the red belt storyline that we saw, really amp up at Stardom Dream Queendom in December. This show takes place in Utsunomiya, which is the capital city of the Tochigi Prefecture. This is the home of Hanan, Rina, and Hina, which each of them are going to be competing in a title match. And I just think that's amazing. I think that's cool that they've booked it this way. And just keep in mind, this is taking place tomorrow night. So hopefully this stream will get you sort of primed and ready for what's about to happen. And hopefully we'll share some insights that will get you even more sort of excited for how this is going to go down. So just to get a sense from you, Meerkat, like, what's your current level of anticipation or hype or eagerness to check this out? Oh, you're muted, my friend.
Sorry about that. I'm just muting myself. I'm excited, of course, because other than the sisters matches and Rina's big white belt match, that should be a really nice chance for her to shine on a big stage and show what she can do, especially the Starlight kid and her first big defense. And but also the Kurara Tam storyline, obviously leading against hate and knowing what would happen there. Regardless of what happens, I think that story is pretty exciting, regardless of which way it goes, and which we'll get into. But I'm pretty excited about that. I think a lot of people are actually because, Sayaka Kurara is very popular. She's very easy to root for, and she's very easy to invest yourself into. She's like got a really good skill in that. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. Just to preface before we single out each match, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what has me excited about Stardom Path of Thunder. Now, first of all, let's talk about what I believe is going to be sort of the main event. I'm really excited to see Rina getting to perform in a main event. And this is going to be Rina's first ever white belt title match. Now, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I have a hunch, or I think this might be correct, that if we don't count the Cinderella tournament of last year where Hanan was crowned as the final ceremony, it might actually be the case that Rina is making the main event of a big pay-per-view in a singles match before either of her sisters get to do the same. Now, I might not have that absolutely accurate, but off the top of my head, this might actually be the case. And that's saying a lot on behalf of Rina and what Stardom thinks about her as a public figure in their company. However, with that out of the way, I do want to mention that the match I myself am most excited for is in fact that super story heavy, drama rich tag match, which is going to feature Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurara against Saya Kamitani and Natsuko Tora. There's so much character depth that can be tapped into here. There's a lot that can factor into this match. And as you implied, the result of this match, one way or the other, leaves a lot of continuous story to be tapped into later. So we're going to just start talking about things piece by piece. I'm actually getting a little more hyped for this. So the first thing we'll talk about is the very, very top of the card, as far as I can tell, which is going to be the white belt title match between Starlight Kid, the Sky Tiger, and Rina, the Pink Devil. I mentioned that Rina is making her very first challenge for this belt, but Starlight Kid is also making her very first defense. I'm looking forward to this. We can clearly see that Rina is on an upward path, an upward trajectory in her career. And in some ways, it's moving even faster than her sister Hanan. Rina has gone from being a double champion to challenging for the white belt not really all that long after. So she lost the Future of Stardom title last October. She lost the New Blood tag belts last December. And now she's here in February. This is somewhat of a fast track. To get here, Rina defeated Saori Ano in a 1v1. That took place on January 26th. And that's probably the biggest opponent that Rina has beaten one-on-one. We're talking about Saori Ano, a former two-time white belt champion, a former Goddess of Stardom champion. So again, if this is not a sign that Stardom believes in Rina, I don't really know what is. One kind of interesting, or a couple of kind of interesting connections between Starlight Kid and Rina. Firstly, they did share a faction together, the faction Oedo Tai, the villain group that preceded Hate. And they also share stature within the Future of Stardom picture. Starlight Kid being the very first ever Future of Stardom champion, and Rina being the greatest Future of Stardom champion, holding the record for future title defenses. Now, despite all the things I have said about Rina leading up to this, I have to say that I think this is almost certainly going to be a Starlight Kid victory. Her first defense in a highly anticipated white belt reign. She had an amazing sort of crowning moment at Dream Queendom. And now I think to see how her reign unfolds is going to be very compelling. We know that Starlight Kid can be excellent in these big matches. If you think of her matches against Azumi, you think of her matches against Miyu Iwatani, and the most recent match she had with Natsuko at Dream Queendom. And also because there are other wrestlers out here in the promotion who have strong storylines that they can utilize to position themselves as challengers against Starlight Kid. I'm really thinking there could be some tension here between challenger and challenger as we go along with this, depending on how long her reign ends up being. The other tension that I'm expecting is what unfolds in this venue. Rina is essentially the hometown star of this match, but she's also the person that's going to most likely be doing the cheating and most likely doing the disrespectful stuff, spitting at the referee and so forth. So I'm kind of curious how the audience is going to play off of this dynamic and how they're going to structure the match. Now I'm going to pass this off to you, Meerkat. What are you expecting with this match? Do you think that this can really earn the position of main event? Can it live up to being the main event of this show? And how do you think it's going to sort of unfold?
I definitely think it can. Yeah, Rina's definitely shown that she can have like compelling like title matches, probably arguably some of the best ones from last year. And Starlight Kid is definitely a great choice to close the show. And it's great to close the show with the Wonder Belt anyways, just because both of those belts are not really supposed to be like it's not the Intercontinental belt, you know, it's not the mid-tier title belt. Basically, it can close shows, and it has closed shows before, and I think it's important to just deliver a banger of a match. And yeah, for certain, Starlight Kid's winning. That's just what's going to happen. But that's basically beyond the point. It's basically just a skill check for Rina, and how well she does against a big boss in Starlight Kid. And yeah, that's what I would be watching it for, just to see how far she can take her, how far she can take Starlight Kid to the limit, and how close she'll get to winning as well. Because it's almost fun to see, like, imagining that they have health bars sometimes, you know, and sometimes to see how far it is to take the health bar all the way up to the end. Sometimes they have like your Tam Nakano and you have like an invisible health bar, and it takes a while to get rid of it. But I think it's fun to look at it sometimes like that. So
okay, I'm going to keep that in mind. I might try to do some sort of mental tracking of where they're at with their HP. I have not tried that before, but that sounds interesting. Almost like if you were playing the video game version of the match.
Yeah, right.
All right, very cool. Well, again, really happy to see both Starlight Kid and Rina main eventing this show. I hope the crowd gets behind both of them and is really locked into the match. It'll just help take that to even a further level. But there are a lot of other things going on. Rina, of course, being the representative of her family that is on the heelish side of things. She's also one of the people challenging for a belt. But we also have one of the sisters that's going to be defending their title, a title that was obtained at Stardom Dream Queendom. So let's talk about the Goddess of Stardom tag match, which is going to involve Wingori of Stars. That's the team of Hanan and Iida, taking on a returning tag team we have not seen them challenge in a little bit, Crazy Star from Neo Genesis. This is Mei Seira and Suzuki. This match should be really intense. It's a match that unfortunately didn't get as much chance of being promoted, and I think that was due to the absence of Iida. So Iida has been out on a little bit of an injury hiatus. I'm actually going to bring up a graphic to showcase this. We saw a little bit of what she's been going through when she was at the press conference recently. Some kind of right hand injury. Her last match prior to this injury was on January 26th, and she seems to have had some kind of surgery or procedure on her hand. As of last night, Iida still has her hand wrapped, though she is back in competition. She's very amped up. She's making a very sort of gung-ho type of return, like a full force return. And this is going to help bring a little bit more of a dynamic to the match. We've seen Suzuki targeting the injured hand of Iida already. And I'm kind of looking at a couple different dynamics here. This is actually going to be Suzuki's second title shot this month. She did challenge for the red belt at the beginning of February against Sayaka Kamitani. And if she does happen to fall short here, she will remain the only member of her faction, Neo Genesis, who does not have a championship belt at this time. I think that could be a sort of squirrely development, possibly, as she continues to sort of be a little bit on the outs in her faction, not quite fitting in with the rest of them. So I am actually predicting a Wingori retention or win. And I think this could maybe lead to either Saya, Iida, or Hanan being eligible to challenge Seira for the high speed belt, possibly. They seem like they could both be viable challengers. Maybe more so Saya Iida, because she has challenged for high speed a couple of times. And what happens with Suzu will be really interesting. Is she possibly on her way out of Neo Genesis? Could she be doing something new? She's teamed up with the rookie Akira. I believe it's Akira Kuragane. She's teamed up with her a couple of times. Not really sure where this will all lead. But two other things I just want to mention. We have seen some brawling between Hanan and Seira, specifically after their preview match last night. They had a really intense stare down in the press conference as well. And they seem to have this like sort of boiling dislike of each other. And this has been going on for a long while, but it hasn't really been able to be expressed in the ring so much. So I think this match will give us a chance to see that. And then the last thing I want to say is that in 2024, there was a really, really high bar that was set for the Goddess of Stardom tag division. And this will be our first sort of glimpse into how 2025 is starting off in this division. But I think that these teams absolutely have what it takes to live up to what we saw last year. And so I'm expecting some fireworks. But I do want to know what you are expecting with this match, my friend.
Well, I'm just glad to see Wingori as champions. I really am. It'd be interesting to see it would be interesting what happens. I'm not as excited for as much of this because it does seem like just a Wingori win, but it should be a good match. You know, it's always weird when it comes to like. I always feel this way because there's a lot of like awesome Joshi tag team matches that happen all the time. For some odd reason, it's just the style of tag team wrestling in general is not my favorite style of wrestling. That seems blasphemous, I think, but I've always been like a singles wrestler type of person, or in regards to like how I enjoy watching wrestling. So I'm always not really ever excited about tag team matches as much as a lot of other people are. But that doesn't mean it's not gonna be a good match. I mean, Seira is like someone I hardly ever talk about, but she's amazing. She's like a fiery little troll goblin who just runs around everywhere. It's very, very quick, very, very smooth. Really excellent wrestler. And Suzuki as well. It seems to be on this like interesting story that she can potentially be on. Like you said, if she loses again, she will definitely still be the only member without a title. And I think that'd be really cool to see what she does and see if she reacts to it or not. I mean, it would be really bad if she just didn't do anything and just went on her merry way. And
Yeah.
I'd rather there be some kind of conflict going on. It'd be interesting, you know. Maybe there will be a new faction formed or something. You know, we're heading towards that time of the year soon. So
yeah, and there's been so many new champions. Sometimes you almost expect, okay, a newer red belt champion. Are they going to break off and start a new faction? Obviously, we're not quite there yet with our discussion, but you kind of start wondering. And one thing we did see, actually, just to invoke the red belt, is when Suzu faced Sayaka Kamitani early in February at Supreme Fight. They obviously had this brutal match together, but they almost discovered that they're sort of kindred spirits in some kind of strange way. Like their levels of insanity seem to complement and match each other, and they gained a deeper appreciation for each other. And within that, some of the post-match stuff, Suzu almost made these really, really subtle implications that she took something from that match or from her interactions with Saya, and she has plans to channel or convert that into something, but I don't know what.
Yeah, well, that little gorilla girl can, you know, she's insane inside, you know, and she's ready to explode finally and do stuff. So I hope they retain, because I do like that team holding belts. So
yeah, and there's so many matchups for Wingori that if they were to be announced, I think people would just lose their minds. I would really like to see a rematch between Wingori and FWC, because they had a fantastic match last year. So now if the tables are turned and Wingori are defending the Goddess belts, it would just make it even cooler, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So there is one other title match to talk about, and there is one other of the three sisters to talk about, and she will also be challenging for a title. This is a title that has been held by her two sisters, her twin sister Rina and her older sister Hanan. I almost got that mixed up for a second. It's not as straightforward as sometimes we take for granted.
Yeah.
We've got Miyu Amasaki, the future of Stardom champion, who took the belt from the sister Rina, defending now against her former Queen's Quest teammate Hina, who is making yet another play for this belt. I have to say that Miyu Amasaki has really impressed me, particularly with her title-winning performance against Rina, and also with her Artist of Stardom winning performance that took place at Supreme Fight. But we have to take into account the fact that Miyu Amasaki's eligibility within the Future of Stardom division is almost up. The expiration date is coming soon. It is taking place in March. And the fact that Hina is getting yet another shot at this belt, and this time it is happening in essentially her hometown, I think this is likely the time for Stardom to crown Hina and place her at the top of the Future of Stardom division, especially because I was kind of sold on Hina winning this belt back in August of last year when she challenged Rina at the 5-Star GP finals. So I'm not going to just abandon the Hina bandwagon. I'm going to assume that, this has got to be it. This has got to be the time. I'm just, let's say Hina loses. It may make me question why they had put her in the spot to begin with, because there are a lot of people there are a lot of worthy challengers for the future belt. I think one other thing that makes this kind of special is that dynamic of this being the Queen's Quest reunion between the two. So if someone is going to do the honor of handing over the Future of Stardom title to Hina, I think Miyu Amasaki would be a great choice, a great champion to be a part of this match. So what are you thinking about this? And if Hina does succeed, where do you think she will fall in terms of Future of Stardom champions in comparison to Hanan, who set a new record, and that record was then eclipsed and surpassed by Rina? She's got to live up to very, very high standards compared to the other members of her family.
That's true, actually. Well, first off, awesome for Miyu Amasaki, who is now 5-star Miyu Amasaki now. Oh yeah, like which is really awesome. Actually, she did a lot of DETs and earned a 5-star. She earned it. Actually, I'm really happy for that. I'm really happy for her win. Her performance was great too. I liked the celebration at the end. It was very passionate and really, really wonderful to see. You can really feel it. As for Hina, you got 3 sisters, you got to have a disappointment in the family, so if she loses, then that's the case for Hina, which would be really, really sad. Actually, I really feel for Hina sometimes because I personally sometimes forget she's there, but then again, she's also still, like, if I'm not mistaken, doing school and stuff, so that's why she sometimes doesn't appear. But Hina winning would be great, though, honestly, because the story is there. Rina and Hanan had the title. You give it to the third sister, and then there's already a pre-built-in storyline, like you mentioned. And she's got the pressure of having to live up to her sisters, basically, and how can she perform? It's a very relatable story in general, just people with siblings, and the like. And she's like what, the middle child, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Rina and Hina are twins, so they have the same birth date. So essentially, they are both they're both the youngest, I guess. I don't know exactly. Right? What's that?
I don't remember if Rina was the younger one or not. I can't remember which one.
Oh, did some? I don't know if somebody was technically born earlier than the other.
Yeah, it usually happens. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have that info.
Always screamed younger sister energy, anyways, to me. like really, really young, like bratty one, but Hina's got like a straightforward style, so it seems like it'll just be like a straightforward like Stardom Fighting Spirit style that she would have with the Future Stardom belt if she had it, which would be great, and see how she does and how she grows. I always forget how young all of them are, actually, because they started so young when they were like crazy young. So yeah, I think it's exciting to see where they grow from there, and I hope Hina has a good match, because I'm excited to see it. And as usual, though, if Miyu Amasaki loses, she still has a long way to go as well, and plenty of things she can do. She's still artist champion as well, so there's something that she has. So I definitely think you're right. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a Hina win. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said about Miyu sort of still having a lot that she can work with. And typically, when someone does lose the Future of Stardom title, it is in essence a sense of them taking the next step forward. It's almost like a graduation in a weird way, which I think Miyu is absolutely ready for. I think she proved that with the Artist of Stardom win. And she's already demonstrated that she can do more against tougher competition. So we may actually talk about her a little bit later, but I don't want to spoil anything in our discussion. But just so people know, Hina actually, I believe, should be eligible to hold the future belt until December of 2026. And I'm basing that on her birthday. So I think this means, in theory, if she were to win at Path of Thunder here, that she technically does have enough time to eclipse both Hanan and Rina's records if Stardom wants to go in that direction. I personally think that, like I said, this sort of age range or rookie-ish range is full of potential stars, potential big names in Stardom. So I'm not too sold on having Hina hold the belt up. I think if she were to start making a run towards Hanan's record, towards Rina's record, we're talking about the belt being in her hands for like another year or so. And it may be time to start mixing things up a bit more, as we have so many people entering the fold and being worthy challengers that I could see having reigns of their own. So now that we've talked a little bit about each of the three title matches, the tale of the three sisters, there's another tale that is being told within Stardom. And it is a fascinating one because there are so many different ways it can go. And there are different people involved that could have evolutions to the stories that they are sort of embroiled in the stories they are telling. Now, I'm, of course, talking about the tag team match that does not have a belt on the line, but it has a lot on the line regardless. This is a tag team match between Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurara of Cosmic Angels and Saya Kamitani, the Phoenix Queen, the red belt champion, alongside Natsuko Tora, the leader of the faction known as Hate. Now, from what we can glean, this has been written in the on the official Stardom website. It's been a little bit implied. The stipulation seems to be that if Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurara win this match, Tam will be granted a wish, which has sort of been indicated that she will be making another play for the red belt title. However, if Sayaka Kamitani and Natsuko Tora win this match, it appears that they will be able to take control of Sayaka Kurara and bring her to the dark side, for lack of a less cheesy phrase, bring her into Hate. And that could result in a lot of intrigue within Stardom. I have to say, I think this feels a bit similar to the fashion in which Starlight Kid previously ended up becoming part of the villain faction. This was years ago at this point. She didn't just show up with a steel chair and start, blasting her faction mates and laughing at everyone. She got pulled in to that sort of down that dark path. And I actually really appreciate the fact that Stardom Dream Queendom, that big red belt title match between Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kamitani, that match didn't actually mark the end of this story. Not even close. If we think about the Dream Queendom prior to this, the one between Micah and Suzuki, or even prior to that between Julia and Shuri, and the list goes on, those stories essentially did end when the red belt title changed hands. But this story is in a way bigger, or it's deeper because it involves more characters, but it also involves almost more abstract elements that are at stake. I think it does feel, not to get too ahead of myself. You and I might actually differ on what we think is going to happen, but I'm curious to see. This to me feels a little eerily similar to some things that were going on last year. If you all recall, some of the heel turns that took place last year, the biggest ones that most recently happened involved Konami, and then a few days later after that involved Sayaka Kamitani. And if we think about what was going on in Stardom, like what was the very next thing that was on the calendar following up these heel turns, we will recall that it was, in fact, the 5-star GP tournament. And having those variables, those chaotic sort of changes to alignment, made that tournament feel a little bit more like volatile or radioactive. And we now find ourselves about to watch Path of Thunder. And the very next thing that's happening after Path of Thunder is this year's Cinderella tournament. And we could be throwing ourselves into that very same strange type of dynamic where a lot of the matchups in the tournament could have a different characteristic to them. So if we do end up seeing Sayaka being brought into hate by the end of this match, now anyone Sayaka faces, if she is in the Cinderella, has this new dimension to it. I am aware that, and I think we're all aware that Sayaka is extremely popular as a babyface character. This is obviously a factor that needs to be considered with this match. It's a factor that I'm sure Stardom is taking into account. I believe that Sayaka absolutely does have the dramatic skills, perhaps the acting skills, the character depth to be able to play a different type of role or to transform the role she's playing. And I think because she's would hypothetically be forced into the group, some of the affinity or the goodwill that the fans have for her currently, I think that would be preserved. That's assuming she doesn't consciously and deliberately make the choice to just join Saya and somehow, screw this match over or affect the outcome of this match. I also don't think that Sayaka necessarily has to be in hate forever or for a long time for this story to unfold in a really interesting way. So I'm going to leave it there because there are a lot of elements that go into this story, and I'm just going to I'm just going to allow you to let me know some of the things you're thinking about, and if anything I've said seems to resonate with you, or if you think things might go a different way.
Yeah. First off, oh, that's fine. The chat covering my face, not a big deal because you don't need to see my face, man. All right. So, like, as much as I want to pop on
help you real quick. There we go. Problem solved.
As much as I want to pop up the Meerkat and be like, as much as I want to call Kurara a future cute deceiver, and just he's gonna screw over Tam, I actually don't think that's gonna happen. But as what I said in the beginning of the stream, though, in regards to like any direction the story goes would be interesting. I changed my mind. I think the only interesting way that this story can go is that Saya and Natsuko have to win. That's like the most interesting path that you have. If Tam wins, cool, you get a wish, and then she goes and gets in another red belt match, and I love Tam a lot, but I think she needs to stay away from the red belt for a long time. I do. I think she needs to venture off and do other things. I think because it's just a little too much crowded up there, a little too soon, at least, especially because it's February. It's only been 2 months, man. It's not WWE. You don't need to run this back so quickly. So I don't think they need to do that right away. I think the most interesting path is that Kurara is forced to join hate. I don't think she turns like you said. I don't think she turns like immediate heel. I think it will be her fault that she loses too. Actually, I don't think it'll be Tam's fault. It's gonna be Kurara's fault. I think she'll be forced to join hate. She's not gonna turn heel or anything. She'll just be a face who's like forced to be there, kind of like how Starlight Kid kind of was before she fully turned, and I think that'd be really interesting because she is a good actor and she is really good at garnering sympathy and making really great faces. So I think that would be a really interesting storyline to go with, to have as Gus over here said, as a hostage, that's a funner way to do this story. And also it's a great way to just add more psychological damage to Tam, who's great at emoting this psychological damage. She's so good at integrating this into herself. So I will give her an excellent opportunity for another post-match performance where she cries her heart out, and she gives great performance, and I'm gonna love it. And that's also another thing too, is that I love, and this is probably like a weird me thing, but I love watching my like favorite wrestlers, like baby faces and heroes. I love watching them lose because I like watching, like I watch Lars von Trier movies. So like, you know, I like seeing pain is like is fine because it's part of the human experience. It's part of experiencing it all, and I really like seeing my favorites lose. Like it's like a weird thing because I get to watch how their face gets crushed, you know. But you only get to then eventually, of course, when they come back and they win, it's cathartic and it's even bigger, you know. I mean, I watched Choco Pro for this reason. Chiyoko Shikawa loses a lot, and then when she finally wins and gets the big win, it means much, much more, you know. So I'd rather see much more adversity in Tam Nakano in this case, and her just gaining another wish. And oh, we're gonna run the red belt match again, you know. I mean, and it'll be a great match. And again, I love Tam, but it's just that's the most uninteresting way to go. The more interesting way is just to cause chaos. Always, actually, the most interesting way always society is cause chaos. Okay, thank you. Anyways.
I like what you mentioned when you brought up the comment about Sayaka almost being in a hostage role, because that would give us an extremely unique spin on seeing some matches between her and people that are either close to her or have some sort of history with her. I'm immediately thinking what a Sayaka Kurara versus Aya Sakura match might look like if we're in a position where Sayaka doesn't really want to fight Aya, and there is not just the conflict of the two of them dueling, but the internal conflict that they're both undergoing at the exact same time. So maybe to talk a little bit about, you know, things that could potentially happen within the match, I do want to bring up this graphic here because there have been a lot of missteps and miscalculations and miscommunications in the recent past involving Sayaka Kurara. She's unfortunately been the common denominator in a number of match losses in which it seems that she and her teammates have accidentally, in some way, diminished one another. And I think they'll play with this in the match we're going to see at Path of Thunder. I think they are going to somehow engineer a situation where we are almost in limbo. We're almost frozen in time, and we don't know if something is going to accidentally go wrong. We don't know if something's going to purposely go wrong. I think they're going to play with the team dynamics, specifically of Tam and Sayaka, to make this as interesting as possible. Another thing I want to bring up is that this match that we're talking about does have the potential to be full of the highest number of violet screwdrivers we have ever seen, because not only does Tam Nakano use this move, we've seen Sayaka Kurara bring this move into her arsenal, and we've even seen Sayaka Kamitani bring this move into her arsenal. So I think this match can only be extremely intense. I don't see any way that it won't be. To play a little bit of the other side of the coin, for us to picture what might happen if Tam and Sayaka do in fact manage to achieve victory. I think there are some things that could be somewhat intriguing about Saya and Natsuko Tora losing the match. I think that could allow us to see some added tension between Saya Kamitani and Natsuko Tora, who is the leader of Hate, but is not the key player in this faction anymore. We possibly might see somewhat of a rift dealing with the leadership of this group, or possibly the command of the red belt itself. So they may structure this in a way that Saya has a little bit of a skirmish with Natsuko through the month of March, and maybe we do get the Kamitani Tam Nakano rematch in April at All-Star Grand Queendom. It's possible. I think this match will have some creative elements. I think it will have some very strong elements. I think Saya Kamitani works pretty much at her storytelling best in the biggest matches that she has when the most is on the line. I think she's consistently shown that, even if her storytelling elsewhere has sometimes confused us or not really tracked immediately. So I have a lot I'm looking forward to here. Is there anything else about this that you wanted to bring up before we move along?
No, I mean, you're talking like future All-Star Queendom, though. I think I'd rather see Micah in that row. I think that'd be a more interesting match. So that's just my opinion.
Hey, that would be cool. I cannot object to that. It's impossible for me to say anything to the contrary. Okay, so yeah, this is almost something that will need to be talked about afterwards as well, because we can't fully see where the dominoes are going to fall or the chess pieces are going to be moved until we see specifically what happens. There are a lot of almost like multiversal pathways where Sayaka could intentionally turn on Tam. She could be pulled away from Tam based on the match stipulation, or some other mishap could occur. We don't know how much outside interference will come into play. I suspect there will be some, because I think that's how you ratchet up the most tension possible and get the crowd just, really the most volatile possible, is if someone does try to manipulate the outcome from outside the ring. But aside from that, it's not that all bets are off, but it's still like most bets are off, I guess maybe we could say. So yeah, I appreciate you chiming in on this match. Just to reiterate to everyone, Stardom Path of Thunder will be taking place on February 24th, which, if you're a Westerner, that means it's happening tomorrow night, at least at the time of this stream. But there are other big things on the horizon in the world of Stardom. So we're going to look a little bit further ahead, even though we don't have a super clear view of exactly what that looks like. But at least we can start some of the speculation and some of the conjecture about the Cinderella tournament in 2025. Now, to talk about that, let's first talk about last year's Cinderella tournament from 2024. And there were some new innovative elements to the Cinderella tournament last year. Firstly, the types of wrestlers who were allowed to compete in this tournament. There were some restrictions in place in which current red belt champions, current white belt champions, and former red belt or white belt champions were essentially not qualified to enter the tournament. There was an exception to this rule. That was the prior year's Cinderella tournament winner. But aside from that, the remainder of the 24 participants of the 2024 Cinderella were either rookies or people that were trying to climb the ladder and make it to that next stage. So that, I think, gave this a clearer identity and a stronger focus than some of the years that preceded it. Now, historically, the Cinderella tournament is a single elimination tournament. The eliminations tend to happen by either pinfall, submission, or somewhat unique to the Cinderella is the over-the-top rope elimination factor. So this tournament in the past has been known sort of for its use of double eliminations, where both people will go over the top rope, or the time limit will elapse and the time limit draw will eliminate both competitors. But I liked the handling of 2024's tournament because they really drastically reduced that convention. I thought the 2024 Cinderella was quite a success, not just because of that selection of competitors that I mentioned, not just because there was a lack of double eliminations, but because there was this really heavy story focus on Hanan. And Hanan got a chance to face pretty much all of her major enemies from the past, as well as the previous year's winner of the tournament, who was Mirai. So there was really a sort of a handoff that took place. Now, Meerkat, do you have elements of this tournament that you recall, or anything about this that you think worked well last year, or maybe some things that you hope they will change?
Well, conceptually, I like the idea of where they're going. The Cinderella, of just having like more of the younger people who haven't like had a big chance to like really get that, really set the idea that when you're winning, you get a big wish, and you get the Cinderella pretty princess dress. You get to wear that, and you get a big old wish. Basically, they really like set that concept up more when you don't have like a Mayu Iwatani in the tournament, because like, what do you need that wish for, girl? I mean, it makes more sense to have these people, and I like that idea. Plus, you also do save on the double eliminations because of Tam and Miyu have to face in the Cinderella. They're not going to be a victor. They're going to eliminate each other. You can call that from the paper. I'm just reading it on paper, basically. So like when you have it more like this, it's more unpredictable and it's a little bit more exciting. So so I like that idea. And plus I really liked Hanan winning because it was her time. So I'd be curious to see who gets announced and who potentially can possibly win, though.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Once we get the names of who is competing and how many people are competing, it'll make this a little bit more clear to talk about. But we're still going to try. We're still going to throw some things out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some things we're looking forward to potentially, what we think the tournament might look like, and what we currently know about the tournament, which unfortunately for this segment is not a whole heck of a lot, but let's go ahead and take a stab at this anyway. One of the things that we do know is that this tournament is not going to be a long drawn out affair. It's going to be fairly truncated. The opening night of 2025 Cinderella tournament will take place on March 8th. There is a night 2, which takes place the very next evening on the 9th. And then after 5 days off, the Cinderella finals will take place on March 15th. So I guess that what we might say is that this somewhat suggests that this year's tournament could have less than last year's 24 participants. For instance, if this was a 16-person tournament, they could easily start the tournament on the 8th, break it down to their top 8 on night 2, and then have that sort of final 4 and final match on March 15th. So that's just as an example of something they might try to run.
That's a good deduction.
But they could do a few different things because they have those 5 days off. We might see a night or two of this where we're seeing multiple matches on the same night, like, competitors doing a pretty grueling exercise in making their way through this tournament. So we'll have to kind of wait and let them inform us. But I do want to talk about essentially who you and who I might be looking at, because the Cinderella tournament tends to be the ushering in of a sort of a new evolution for its winner. Hanan, I think, is a great example of that. She had a record-setting Future of Stardom reign. She won the Cinderella tournament, and then her year from there was full of just about as many accolades as you can get. She challenged for the white belt and essentially would have won that white belt match had it not been for a strategic error on her part. She made it to the semifinals of the 5-star Grand Prix, and she would have beaten Sayaka Kamitani had it not been for that same strategic error. And then from there, she won the Goddess of Stardom Tag League and became a Goddess of Stardom champion. So as we introduce our question about the Cinderella tournament, do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first about which wrestler or wrestlers are we most interested in seeing compete here?
Yeah, sure. No, I'll go. I would like to see well, I want to see Hanan try to. I don't know if she can. I don't know if that's part of the rules, but I'd like to see her try just go double again like Mirai did. That'd be cool. But I also really want to see, this is a new wrestler named Kyoko Katatsu who just debuted. She reminds me of a mini Shuri. Like that's like not just in her style is like UWF and like her martial arts background and stuff, but she also wants to be an entertainer her entire life. And if you go on her Twitter, you can see her do these behind the scenes, like little mini action scenes practicing and stuff. And she's like pretty good and serious at it, So she straight up just reminds me of like a little mini Shuri. And I think she has a bright future because she's got like a really unique style. She wasn't traditionally like trained in pro wrestling in a way. Like she was trained by the Actors Guilds, but like she comes from mostly a combat background and did a lot of UWF matches in GLEAT. So I think her style is very unique. And I think it's pretty exciting to possibly see what she can do in like a bigger setting. And so that's someone I want to see. I think that's someone who can benefit the most from like doing a Cinderella tournament.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. There are a couple of things about Kyoka that I've really appreciated, as she has not had a lot of time within a Stardom ring. Firstly, she's allowed herself to just really dive in to some of the dramatic performances. Her backstage promos are really dramatically intense, and she's very dedicated to opposing Konami, for instance, or supporting the other wrestlers in God's Eye. And then she's also just jumped immediately into doing UWF type of matches and things like that. So showcasing her versatility a little more specifically. So if she does compete in the Cinderella tournament, that will be an interesting, I don't want to say X factor, but sort of unknown to see how she will mix it up 1 versus 1, because we've mostly seen her in tag matches, 1 versus 1 against people when you don't have a lot of margin for error. If you lose a match in the Cinderella, historically, you're out of there. So she might be a sort of like a spoiler, maybe.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So I guess I'll go.
I don't know if I have anybody else really, because it's hard to pinpoint. I'm pretty sure we'll see like Sayaka Kurara, of course, in there, and she actually is probably actually, now that I'm thinking about it, she's a huge draw to win that. But you also might see that Aya Sakura as well. That's another fighting background as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, no worries. I'll throw up actually a list of names here, and there are some asterisks next to some of these names because, again, we don't know who's eligible for this tournament. We don't know who will actually, go far in the tournament or what they're going to really try and build out with this. But I'm going to throw this up here. We, of course, currently have our white belt champion, Starlight Kid, who, as we've talked about, we both believe she's going to be retaining the belt. So as the tournament begins, we can only assume that she will be sort of the target, the person with the target on their back. Everyone in the Cinderella tournament, more or less, if we just go off how this tournament has typically run, will be sort of gunning for her. We also have Hanan returning as the former Cinderella winner. And I'm kind of like in line with you. I think it might be interesting for her to go really far in this tournament, make another run, possibly win the tournament for a second time, because as I've stated, she's proven herself to be a formidable tournament wrestler. I mean, just a stellar tournament record last year. And she has tension. She has a rivalry. She has a storyline that has been building over time opposite Starlight Kid. And she has definitely indicated interest in challenging for the white belt once again. Now you'll see that I have a list of other wrestlers underneath that, and it's a bit of a hodgepodge, but we've got Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. Now both of them are close enough to Starlight Kid that we may not have other reason for them to oppose Starlight Kid at this time. They are sharing the Artist of Stardom titles with her after all. And if Miyu Amasaki does drop the Future of Stardom belt, the logical next step for her is to be a valid potential threat within this tournament. So because Azumi and Miyu are close to Starlight Kid, maybe under other circumstances, wouldn't really be going after her. And because they're both ready to at least enter the white belt picture, certainly in Azumi's case, I think that could make things pretty dynamic overall. Someone I have to highlight is Hazuki. Hazuki's been having a very, very brutal back and forth with Starlight Kid, at least as of 2024. She is the most recent person to have unmasked Starlight Kid, which is just absolute heinous. That's crazy work, Hazuki. But it indicates that they're going to return to this. This is a feud that needs to get settled one way or the other. And if Hazuki is going to get another shot at the white belt, I think winning a Cinderella tournament would be sort of the most validating way, if that makes sense. She's been so crushed by the fact that she can't cross the barrier, that she can't get the belt. I think perhaps having her sort of rekindle some hope that, well, maybe if I do make it through this tournament, I can get that one absolutely final attempt. So I'm throwing her in the mix as well. You mentioned Sayaka Kurara. I absolutely agree with that sentiment, especially if her character dynamic has shifted as a result of the tag match at Path of Thunder. I think she could be a threat one way or another. And she did quite well in her first foray into the Cinderella tournament. We can assume that maybe she will have people more of her sort of, not of her class, but her experience level and even newer entering this tournament. So she can be the person that fends off a lot of those really, really green rookies. Now, the last person I have on this list is Ami Sourei, who none of us have really seen in a ring for a really long time. She's actually going to be doing commentary at Path of Thunder, I believe. And she has been overcoming a very serious injury with no clear distinction on when she will return. However, she was the runner-up in last year's Cinderella tournament. So if they wanted to very thematically bring her back in a role that might be fitting and drum up the most interest possible, putting her into the Cinderella and maybe getting some of that crowd sympathy and maybe indicating that she could be that really strongly presented second best member of God's Eye, which I don't think they have a clear second best. There are some candidates, but it's potentially still open. I think that could be something that they could work with, but it all depends on the time frame. I wouldn't want her to rush the timeline of her recovery just to do something like this. But if she's ready to go, I could see them throwing her back in. So what do you think about this group, Meerkat?
Yeah, actually, I seen Azumi in there just made me like want Azumi versus Starlight Kid for the white belt in April, because that's the clear best match you can possibly go with. Because my God, that would be an amazing match. Yeah, I like that list a lot. You know, I mean, it's especially like I forgot that Ami story was a runner up. That's actually a good story if they can run that back. But yeah, I think it's exciting. On there, and but yeah, I've seen Azumi on there just made me think, oh man, that'd be great actually. Nobody needs a bigger moment than either Azumi or Hazuki. Those two are just like old, like big moments, especially Hazuki, just so tragic. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the potentials.
Yeah, and as you said before, we are going to need to get a little bit more indication of what this tournament's going to look like. 3 days only, and not really a clear sense if they're going to repeat the same framework as last year in terms of who can actually compete or not. So there are a lot of things that we're essentially, it's a little bit of guesswork on our part. So for now, that's kind of what we have. And there are some Q&A questions that will throw us back into the realm of the Cinderella tournament. So it might get even weirder or a little more speculative, I guess we'll say. But aside from us talking about the Cinderella and the Path of Thunder matches that we did talk about, I just want to open up the floor if there's anything else you wanted to bring into the discussion before we do transfer over to that Q&A portion.
Oh, no, I don't really have much. It's just want to see this. I guess gotta wait for the show to happen and see what happens, you know. But not much else to say. I think we covered a lot.
Cool. All right, shortest open discussion ever. We will move right ahead.
You guys like my
to our Q&A. Oh, it's looking good.
I can show you that if she wants.
So we have received some questions ahead of this live stream starting. So I appreciate all the questions we received. We're going to get to those first. If there are questions in the chat, I'm going to try and locate some of those, and then we can address those because we're doing okay for time. So I think we'll be able to answer some extras. But let's get things started. Let's see who is first on the list. We have Bronson Taylor, 4203, asking us if you could see one person become champion, or if you could see a current champion defend their title, who would you want to be involved, and would you make any special rules? So a bit of an involved question, but a cool question. So I appreciate it. I've got something. I took some notes to plan this up. So let me go ahead and throw up one of the people involved. So what I would like to see in terms of someone defending their belt is I would like to see Stardom this summer bring back the short-lived tradition of the summer steel cage themed pay-per-view. We got a couple of those back-to-back, didn't get one last year. So what I would like to see, even though I'm not convinced that the Artists of Stardom titles will be held that long, I would like to see the team of Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and Starlight Kid, the current Artists of Stardom's champions. I would like to see them face a Stars team with that whole steel cage framework, the escape rules in play. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, actually, that would be
so that's my choice. Again, it's so hard to defend to hold on to the artist belts for more than like a single defense. So not likely, but if they could bring back that steel cage show, it was previously Stardom Sunshine, and then it was Fight at the Top. If they could bring back something in that spirit and get another really cool artist match, I'd be all for it.
That'd be interesting. Man, yeah, that beats mine. Yeah, I can top
well,
that.
I mean,
actually. The only person I really want to see champion, if for sure, is I want to see Momo Watanabe become a champion. But it's really tough because the only championship that she should win would be the red belt. But I don't want to see Saya Kamitani lose right away. I'd be perfectly fine if Saya Kamitani has a reign of terror that lasts for a good while. But if she does lose to someone, I wouldn't mind it being Momo. But I want Momo to finally have that moment as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic choice.
Yeah, of course. And in regards to like a current champion, though, again, I want Starlight Kid versus Azumi really bad. As soon as I saw Azumi there next to Starlight Kid, I remembered, oh my god, yeah, they need to have him they need to run that back for the white belt now. So I really want to see that. That's something I really want to see.
Yeah, they've had this sort of sequence of having a match against each other almost like once per year, roughly. So we are somewhat due if they can weave their way to making it happen. And now that, as you say, Starlight Kid is the white belt champion, it will elevate the match to even another insane place, which is saying a hell of a lot because the two of these very special wrestlers can make such amazing things happen in the ring when they're facing off. So really good choices, I think. A lot I could also say about Momo Watanabe. She's actually challenging Mercedes
Monet,
yeah, very soon from now.
Though.
So yeah,
which is exciting.
Good luck to her. That's probably all we should say about that. Let's go ahead and move right along. We've got Brian B97. Assuming Sayaka Kurara joins Hate, does Cosmic Angels replace her with Yuria Hime? And if Kurara stays, do they still add Yuria to their unit? So this is a very new wrestler for those of you who might be a little bit unfamiliar. I'll place her up on the screen. Obviously not the person on the left, but she will be facing Miyu Iwatani at Path of Thunder.
Nice.
So a very tough question to answer because I think Cosmic Angels is almost tied or in second place for the most likely faction for Yuria to join. I guess if I have to edge one faction over the other, I think EXV is probably the most likely. It really seems like Yuria has been receiving some of her training or some of her mentoring from the members of EXV specifically. So I think she already has a close bond and connection with them. She made her debut against Micah. And if you watch really closely, when she was sort of like a red shirt, like second that nobody knew about on the side of the ring, she would interact with people like Waka Tsukiyama. So I think she will probably join EXV. Now, if Sayaka does leave Cosmic Angels, I think that increases the chances. But if Sayaka stays in Cosmic Angels, I'm just going to say I don't think she will join. So do you have any intel? Have you noticed anything? What can you tell us?
Honestly, I haven't been watching too much of Yuria, so I don't know too much about her. But judging by what you said, that her debut match was against Micah, and the way Stardom typically likes to do these things is that it's probably going to run by like some sort of Micah thing. It feels more likely in how you said it, just given their relationship, which is kind of like how Stardom likes to do things, like to build relationships, and across long term. So that makes sense to me. But again, I haven't seen Yuria or seen anything of her to really make that judgment too much. So yeah,
fair enough. All right, and we do have another question from Brian B97. Okay, so I'm actually going to throw Miyu back up on the screen because this pertains to Miyu. On March 3rd, Miyu Iwatani will have been the longest champion in Stardom history. And also on March 3rd, Stardom is holding a show in Korakuen Hall. So should Miyu defend the IWGP Championship? And if so, who should challenge? But we cannot choose Azumi or Starlight Kid. So first of all, I did not check the calendar. I did not fact check this question. I'm going to assume that this is correct the IWGP belt is technically a New Japan belt, I believe. But for the sake of this question, I'm just going to assume that Miyu is, hitting this accolade. So congrats to her if that's the case. With that being said, on March 3rd, I actually will just go ahead and say no. I don't want to see an IWGP match there because that's very soon. That's coming up very soon. I would say let's have like some kind of number one contenders match to set up Mayu's next challenger, because I can't think of really anyone that I just want to throw at Miyu quickly right now without a build-up or a justification, at least when it comes to Stardom wrestlers. But, if I really have to throw somebody at Miyu on March 3rd at Korakuen Hall, and there's minimal notice, minimal chance to build it up, I would probably say let's see Miyu Iwatani versus Hanan.
Nice.
But what do you think?
Nice. So actually, I think that is correct in technical reasons.
That's
Stardom
really cool.
Wrestler is holding the longest, but you also are correct. It is not a Stardom belt; it's a New Japan belt. It's part of the IWGP. So it's just a technical thing though. But yeah, at the same time though, yeah, she'll have to defend against someone. I guess. Oof. I don't think she will defend. Honestly, that's not something they do.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen an IWGP match at Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, it's just not something they do. Honestly, it was because it's not their title. It's not Stardom's title. They did it with they do it every once in a while, like Tony Storm. It's a big match though. They did it with Mercedes Money, big match. But I just don't see it happening. Okay. Yeah. But if they had to do it, no Azumi or Starlight Kid,
yeah.
Oh man, who could you have a banger of a match with? Hanan's a good choice, but so is so is Tam, but Tam, that's not a good time to run that.
I agree. You need to have Micah. Some build up for that.
Micah beat Miyu Iwatani to get into the 5-star finals, so she's technically owed something. Actually, bam.
Okay, good thinking. Very good thinking. All right, we have one final preemptive question. This is from Brianna Maniac. If your pick to win the Cinderella actually wins, not including a title match, what would they wish for? Okay, well, I don't have an official pick to win the Cinderella because I don't know who's in it, but I came up with a few options. So I got something for you. So first of all, really interesting concept about, making a wish for something at the end of this tournament, but not having it be a title match. Because in my opinion, like at the end of the day, this is still a wrestling promotion. So you still have to wish for something that we can promote and that can convert into an event that has matches. So a couple of people I've had in my sort of who's who list or my usual suspects list, Azumi or Miyu Amasaki, if either of them were to win the Cinderella and they couldn't wish for a title match, I would have either of them wish for a one night only Queen's Quest reunion match so that we bring in everybody who is now in God's Eye, who's now in Hate, and we get them all back together and we see how those rough edges have to now stand side by side together. But for one night only, you could do it at Korakuen Hall maybe or something where it could be a big deal and have a little bit of that nostalgia, but also that bittersweet kind of dynamic, knowing that it can't be like this forever anymore. Moving on from them, let's say Sayaka Kurara wins the Cinderella and she is being held hostage. She could wish for a match that would allow her the chance to escape the Hate faction. So we get a chance for her to be redeemed in some way or rescued in some way. That would be a little close to in terms of the timeline to her joining Hate. So wouldn't be the absolute best option, but maybe they could do something with it. And then randomly, because I think this is true. I don't believe Konami has. Yeah, Konami is not disqualified from the restrictions they placed on the tournament as of last year. So I think she could compete. If Konami won the Cinderella, she could wish for some sort of martial arts themed tournament. So this could involve all the strikers and the submission artists, the Inaba sisters, everybody who throws kicks, Aya Sakura, and let's put them all in some sort of martial arts tournament, and let's see who is truly the deadliest of the deadly.
Bloodsport.
Yeah, exactly. So those are my ideas. A little bit of a tough question, but I definitely really like the question. What do you got cooked up, Meerkat? You got anything for this?
Yeah, sure. Whoever wins, you know what? Just be crazy. If you can't do a title match, just be crazy and wish for like a return of the costume battle royales that they used to do, and have some bring back fun and start bring back pure, unadulterated, wholesome fun.
I think that means Koguma would probably have to win the Cinderella and wish for that something to that effect.
But yeah, that'd be hard. Yeah, that's something hard, you know. But I like your idea of the Queen's Court. They should just do that idea anyways. That's a fun idea. It's not even you're not gonna get closure because Saya's gonna ruin it all. But I mean, but it's still gonna be fun to do, especially because they're all in different factions now. And you bring Momo along too, anyway. Just bring them all.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Wow. That would kind of be nuts. That would kind of be nuts.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really got one because it's hard.
Yeah.
Because like, why wouldn't they go for a title match? But I guess you want to have some fun. Then you know what? Have Saki Kashima win it and take Toru Okada's place for a day, and then you can have the cameras film her for Stardom for their YouTube. Oh, yeah,
definitely. Yeah, finally some real leadership. That sounds good. All right, so we're gonna start referencing a bit of our chat.
Bring back the streamers, yes.
Oh, that's a good wish. That's a really good wish.
Be the only one of streamers is sin.
All right, so let's see what we have. So thanks to everyone who's tuning into this. This is really cool to see the engagement and the questions that are popping up. So we got one from Kurt Beatson. Hi guys, keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Just a question. Since Meerkat's favorite wrestler Miyu Iwatani is rumored to leave Stardom, possibly to go join Marigold, do you believe the rumors? Is she leaving? So man, this is a tough question. I'm gonna say if Miyu does decide to just stay with Stardom and continue to take on her role as the icon, of course, I totally support her in doing that. But I've started to think a little bit. We've seen the amazing year that Sari had, sort of in this more of a freelance role where she was participating in Marigold, but she was also hosting her own shows. We saw Unagi Sayaka put on some shows of her own as a freelancer, and these shows have done extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the way for Miyu to try and move forward. She did say something when Stardom had their 14th year anniversary that she wanted to be around for the 15th year anniversary. I'm pretty sure that she made some kind of statement to that effect, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she would exclusively be a Stardom wrestler. If she were to go freelance, she could take part in some of the really, really big Marigold shows and then come right back at a later time and get these huge matches in Stardom as well.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the next place for her to go, because she really has done just about everything as a Stardom wrestler. So I have to assume she's at least considered this as a possibility. And if I have to pick something, I think that's where I would kind of lean in terms of what she might end up doing. But how about yourself?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's the excellent path for Miyu Iwatani to go, and I do think that it is a high possibility she might do that. But also just from a point of view of me wanting to see quality and stuff, I think that is a great way for her to go. She can do freelance. She can wrestle. Like, I mean, she already can technically wrestle. I mean, she shows anyways, but she can technically wrestle these like big matches. I wouldn't want her to be Marigold exclusive, because that wouldn't be good for her. I don't think at all. So I think if she did have the route of being just a pure freelancer, that would be amazing. Because then, yeah, she can just show up anywhere that she wants to show up and do what she wants to do and do the matches that she wants to do. And just, yeah, I'm excited for that. Basically, if she would do that, she would have to drop her IWGP belt, which I think it will happen soon. But yeah.
All right, we got some more questions we can tackle. If you're still doing okay for time to knock out a couple more, perhaps.
You're good.
All right. Music videos for you. has a question. Will Stardom bring in some new people from overseas this year, being that Xena is still out? So yes, Xena is still out with injury, it would seem. I could definitely see this happening, particularly when it comes to the tournament scene. When we get to the 5-star Grand Prix, I could see them bringing some people over. I don't know about like new people necessarily. It did seem that when Athena was here at the beginning of the year, she expressed interest in returning and doing some more stuff with Stardom. So she's not a new person because she was just here, but I could see her making a return later in the year. I had another name or two that just left my brain, but anybody come to mind for you?
Yeah, I can see them bringing B Priestley in.
Oh, that's right. That is a good pick. She is a free agent as far as I'm aware.
It's not a good pick though. I don't want. I mean, I know she has her fans and she has her shooters. Go for it. You like her? Go for it. I don't like her. I don't want to see it. I would like them to bring in like more people who can benefit on the AEW side, basically, who not doing anything. You know, we brought like they brought in Ann Taylor last time, for example. You know, they can bring in other people. Sorry, they can bring in other people. You know, I like to see Tony Storm like have another like shot at stuff over there and stuff, but you know, I don't want to see P Priestley in there. That's the only one I can think of at the moment, and I feel like that's going to happen. So,
all right. Okay, so cool question, pretty interesting answer here. I got a question that I think you will be particularly skilled at answering yourself, Meerkat, which comes from Paul Darwin. Might we get a Mai Saruga challenge for the white belt? Ooh. Gosh, that's hard for me to answer. We could only assume that we would get the most fun and awesome match between Starlight Kid and Mai Saruga, assuming Starlight Kid retains the belt. But you're the best person to be tackling such a monumental question like this.
Well, first off, I want just King Kanuki scene. I see the vision Miyu at Choco Pro. Yes, because Miyu Iwatani has never wrestled Emi Sakura, and we need that in life. Okay. Also, yes, we really do. Anyways, it's Mai Saruga challenging for the white belt. I would love it. But because it'd be great. Just because they already have that relationship and rivalry built in. It would be a fantastic match. I sing Mai Saruga's praises all the time. She's one of my favorite wrestlers. In my personal opinion, I think she's one of the best wrestlers in the world because she has all the boxes checked for everything that I love about a wrestler, and she does it amazingly. And she has a bright future, and she's going to be a huge. I think 100%. I said this in my Choco Pro video. I think she will replace Emi Sakura as a major visionary and influence upon the world of Joshi. It's the highest praise I can give any type of wrestler. Anyways, that being said, I want to see Starlight Kid and Choco Pro face Mai Saruga more than in Stardom. So, because she needs to. It needs to be in the Chocolate Square, not the big Choco Pro shows. It needs to be in the square. I rather actually personally would rather see that because it needs to happen. That's just my selfish thing, though. But yeah,
I actually really like your answer. I think that is the way to go. Yeah. That would really be something. And I do remember you saying that in your video about Choco Pro. Yes. And that was a really cool thing to hear you say. I was like, yeah, that does make sense, actually. All right. Well, excellent questions from everyone. Definitely appreciate you guys tuning in to the stream here. We're going to wrap things up and sort of close this out because, Path of Thunder is right around the corner. And there's a lot more that we're going to be talking about in the future because this is clearly going to be a catalyst for continued story developments and even bigger matches as we get closer and closer to not only the Cinderella tournament but also All-Star Grand Queendom. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and start to just let you all know what else we might be getting into or who we are or what we do and where you can find us. So why don't you start, Meerkat Ultra?
How'd you find us? What are you doing here? So yes, okay. So on Monday, if you follow my channel, I do like Joshi content creation, and it ranges from a variety of absurd to super serious to like surreal, like I did recently. That someone didn't like actually. Someone commented, being like, "I don't know what you're trying to do with this, buddy." But it's like, it wasn't for you, man. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I even said in a post, it's not for you. Anyways, so I do a lot of variety of things, mostly comedy though, if I'm being really honest. So on Monday though, I am releasing another Stardom video for analyzing the recent Artists of Stardom 5-star match that Dave Meltzer gave it. Because we're gonna find out if it was 5 stars or not on Monday, and then and then Wednesday I'm releasing a Beauty of Stardom montage video. If you ever go on YouTube and type in Beauty of and then any film, you will more than likely get a montage of amazing cinematography, and I like to do that for wrestling when I can, and I've been wanting to do one on Stardom for a while, and it's pretty basically. And also after that, we were going back to TJPW because we're going back to Hyper Masao season 2. So and then but before then though, I'm doing a Kyoko Kotatsu video, and I'm doing a Koguma's quest to turn Rana Yagami into a bear.
Oh,
those
my
are all
goodness.
written already, so I'll be recording those tomorrow.
Wow, that is a lot to look forward to. One absolute masterpiece after another. Really looking forward to those projects. And if you want to check out some stuff from me, I am String Six Splash. I do a series called Red Belt Radio, which you can find here on YouTube. You actually are at my channel right now, so there's plenty of other things for you to check out. You can also find me on Twitter/X at String Six Splash in both places. String, the word string, the number 6, the word splash. And we're just here to celebrate Stardom and continue to cover what's going on as it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. So be sure to continue tuning in. All right. I think we've done it. The Path of Thunder is right up ahead. So it is time to walk the path and see who survives. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Meerkat. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.